we've got breaking news right now and an update on the story. We have this from Bill Malugan. This is happening right now. He says, I'm told by 4 law enforcement sources there has been another ICE-involved shooting in Minneapolis tonight. I'm told ICE was making contact with a target who then allegedly assaulted an officer with a shovel or swung a shovel. Shots were fired, and the suspect ran back in the house. No info yet on if anything was actually shot, just that shots were fired. So if something was hit. Very preliminary. More info as we're getting it. We will have an update for you as we go through this, but I do want to jump to the story, which is massive, from CBS News. The ICE agent who shot Renee Good suffered internal bleeding. We are now looking at CBS with 2 U.S. officials and DHS confirming. That is 3 independent sources confirming the ICE agent in question suffered internal bleeding to the torso following the incident, which confirms he was struck by the vehicle. Now let's throw it to our good friend over here, Adam Cochran. He says, BS. Internal bleeding against a non-pinned, moving, armored individual would require the blunt hood of a car going at least 35 miles an hour. Renee was driving a Honda Pilot. It averages 3.5 to 4.0 meters per second squared in a 0 to 60 run. At 2 feet away from the officer. Okay, I'm not reading all this.
Okay, but he's probably doing math assuming she didn't slam the gas.
An abdominal wall hematoma tearing his muscle while moving because he is old and out of shape is possible. But if he disagrees, then he is more than welcome to waive HIPAA and release the medical report, but the math doesn't lie. No, he doesn't need to. Because simultaneously, the funny thing about this is that people are just saying, so you're saying he got a bruise? And my response is, so you're admitting he got hit?
Yeah, literally. Like, yeah, you know you're cooked when you're like crunching numbers to like disprove a video. Like it's over for you.
It doesn't matter doesn't matter any information that comes out. All of the narratives have been consumed, and the people that believe that he was in the wrong believe that he's in the wrong. The people that believe that he's in the right believe that he's in the right.
Like, I don't agree. I think people's opinions are fluctuating right now.
Fox 9 breaking news: an individual was shot in the leg. So the story is currently developing, and we'll follow this one. But there you have it, guys. The ICE agent was hit by the car. I mean, we all knew it. And you know what really irks me is that earlier today, Grok on X was a trend, and it said Minnesota-based poet who was killed. And I was like, are you kidding me? Yeah. So I took the story, and I went into Grok, and I pasted it to see how it would respond to its own trending thing. And it told me on Grok that Jonathan Ross was not struck by the vehicle, and that analysis by CNN and the New York Times proved that he had stepped out of the way of the vehicle and was clear of harm. And so then when this story broke, I said, here you go. Why is it? Oh, and the funny thing about it, I asked Grok, I was like, what do you mean? There's video of him getting hit. And it said, according to Tim Pool, there is. I'm not kidding. It literally said that. And it was like based on commentary from Tim Pool, many people are claiming he was struck, though CNN and the New York Times with cross-reference analysis show that he was not. And I'm just like, that's the crazy thing I've ever heard. And now how stupid must you feel, Grok, you dumb mother?
Yeah, literally.
I love also how they use the photos of the woman from before her like lesbian pronouns turn, right? When she was in a heterosexual relationship, and she's like, then she looks normal and not from like the pixie haircut barista
the glow down
look.
Was crazy.
Yeah, glowed down for sure. But did you guys see the story of I don't know if this is totally accurate, but it said it was the last white woman who was shot in Minneapolis. Did you see this? This woman, Justine Damond, I think is how you pronounce her name, but this woman in 2017 called the cops in Minneapolis because she heard something going on outside. The cops showed up. They shot her, a white woman. The officer was Somali.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
He was sentenced to prison. His sentence was overturned by the state Supreme Court. And now he's the headmaster of the Quality Learning Center. No, not that part. But no, he was released.
Yeah.
Because imagine if it were reversed. By the way, obviously, if Renee were black, the city would be on fire right now. But black people are not going to be protesting a white woman named Renee being shot. Literally. So that's why things are not on fire right now.
Right?
Especially
yeah,
Renee.
Renee is just like a little too much. It's a little too on the nose. Yeah.
You know, holy Christian. You know,
the singer and
Christian,
lesbian. Yes. The only way this story could be like really full circle is if it had been a Subaru and not a Honda Pilot.
So true. She had like a wallet or something too. Like, the resist libs are cooked though. Like they're literally turning into mathletes. Like that's all they have left. That's all they got left is they're just, whipping out the calculator, the abacus. Like it's over for them.
The second video was pretty apparent that he got jacked. Either he jumped back.
Yeah. And what's like the implication? Okay, let's just say hypothetically he didn't get hit. Yeah, she still drove a car. Like, what kind of what is going on?
That's the thing. When you start getting into the granular details, it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
all of the stuff that people say, it's like Angry Cops had a great breakdown of it. The guy was in front of her car, and she accelerated in his direction. Right, like that's all that it takes. He felt like she was going to hit him, and that's all that it takes. That's why I didn't believe that he was going to get indicted. I still don't think that he's actually going to get indicted, and from what I'm hearing, it looks like he's not.
That's what got that guy in Charlottesville booked. Is he accelerated and then like a woman had like a heart attack.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, that was caused by the car.
We did hit
wrecking.
her.
Yeah, I know.
But they were attacking his vehicle and
Right.
stuff.
So it's like, that's the precedent. Like you can't. So it's like, what are we doing here?
But all of this is a distraction tactic. That's all it is, because this is all in response to the videos from Nick Shirley and the fraud. And what that exposed is the Democrats need massive fraud networks to buy votes to win elections. That's actually what this is about. And now they have their useful idiots, the same people that defend Islam and defend all these other crazy ideas, and they're protesting. I mean, how many, I wonder from these crowds, do we know how many like minorities are actually out there? Or is it just like white people with pronouns?
Yeah.
Serge has a rule that if you, or I guess you'd call it a law, that where there's corruption, there's more corruption of that kind.
Yeah.
He's from South Africa. He was telling me before the show, and he's like, bro. So I call it Serge's law. Where there's corruption, there will be more corruption. And someone on the show brought up in California, they're uncovering now a corruption network too. Do you remember the name of that one, Serge, from the pre-show? Sorry, I don't have that pulled up.
No.
Yeah, but it's not
the
like you're
fraud
saying. It's a big network of people.
Well, that's exactly the point. So like what Nick Shirley did was he showed the daycare centers. Do you guys know about the Medicaid fraud?
Right.
That they're also doing, where they're reporting that their children are autistic, so they could get like $1,500 a month in government subsidies, and they say that their child has to go to a community doctor that understands their culture. They have to go to a community center, not just the daycare centers. And the only reason why I don't fully blame our government for catching this sooner is because I think they saw this and thought, oh, when you marry your sibling and your cousin, like, yeah, your kid's going to be like retarded, but that's actually different than being autistic. And the money that they were getting from this Medicaid fraud, they were actually getting cash for a lot of it, and they were putting actual cash onto planes to Somalia to go directly to Al-Shabaab.
Yeah.
So congratulations,
like, if they were
taxpayers,
autistic,
for
like
funding.
if they were autistic, we wouldn't need. They just give them like a phone book or something, and they would just light up. Like that's clearly not what's happening. These people, they're really dumb. That's why they like drive. They drive around in dinghies.
Just got that.
Yeah. So they're driving around in dinghies, like attacking like cargo shit. Like these people.
When was the last time you had a math genius come out of the Somali community? I don't think they're autistic. I don't think they have chess players. I think.
Yeah, if they're autistic, it'd be like they'd be.
They'd be productive members of society.
The fraud would have never gotten exposed. They'd have that down pat.
100%.
They'd be locked in. WWE be
100%.
touring in Minneapolis every year. Like, what's going on?
We mentioned this the other day. The fact that the culture that they come from is there's a lot of corruption generally. I was saying about a guy in Maine. There was he was like, oh, look, we voted for you. The Somali community voted for you.
Yes.
Now you have to protect us, and because they were gaming the system. And he came out and said it because to people that come from that culture, it's normal.
Yes.
Right? Like it is totally normal to be like, we voted for you, so you have to step in between the law and us and protect us. And that when you have that kind of culture, like you don't just transfer into another place and the magic soil just makes you into a Jeffersonian Democrat.
Well, that's why like across the third world, like the hustle grind set culture really took root, is because in these cultures they have like a get mine mentality where it's like the laws are just like an impediment in the way of like me getting rich, and so that's why these things just click for these people, because they don't care if it's on the books or off the books. They just got to get rich at all costs. When they see like a private jet fly overhead, that like bothers them fundamentally. And the West, we're just kind of content with the middle class. Like
but I mean, part of the problem is the fact that like you'd think that the elected officials would say, no, we don't do that. But it seems like the Democrats nationwide have been doing all they can to not just cover for them, but be a part of the corruption.
Well, it's like an ethnic remittance program. I mean, that's fundamentally what the Democrat Party is turning into as time goes on. That's why Zoran is the way he is because he's just simply trying to get revenge against white America fundamentally. And the best way to do that is like through defrauding our like welfare systems, which were set up somewhat benevolently, and then now that's the case all across the West. It's like you can't bring a culture that's not Western into the West and expect them to understand why our welfare system exists.
That's a great point. Like, you can't bring a culture that is not Western into the West and expect them to be the West. If you see it on X all the time. If you bring the third world in, you become the third world.
Westerners like fundamentally view welfare as like an embarrassing thing.
Yeah.
Like John Doyle made this point. It's a really good point. Is he was talking about his neighbor's like house burnt down or something, and everyone in the neighborhood was like offering help, and he was like, no, like I want to do this myself. I don't want to get handouts, that sort of thing. That's like a very Western, specifically American mindset, where people come from the third world and it's like, oh, free money, sick. Like they don't have that sense of, there's not a sense of shame for receiving handouts.
Well, I was gonna say, actually, like right next to Somalia is Somaliland, and these couldn't be more different as two countries that are right next to each other, and kind of to the point we were talking about earlier with Iran and versus Iraq and Afghanistan. Like, you don't need a democracy to be a functioning country, actually, which is like, and I'm very pro-democracy, pro-America, but not all cultures can have that, or at least the way they're set up right now. Like, they're not ready for democracy. But Somaliland is a great example where they had a centralized, unified tribe, basically. And that's why they're flourishing. And they're also by like pro-West and like pro-Israel. And Bibi, just like to piss off a bunch of people, just acknowledge Somaliland, and Somaliland's like the people are like running around the streets celebrating it. And you have Somalia with retards claiming to be genius autists, basically.
Well, and Somaliland was administered by the British too, and the British like were really good at setting up centralized government structures in their colonies. It's the only reason that like a lot of these African countries haven't just collapsed yet is because the British were so effective at centralizing
100%.
power. The rest of Somalia, no offense, is administered by the Italians. I think we all know what that means.
Inbreeding's horrible, man.
It means good food.
It's true.
If you
It's
don't
not
know,
great food.
like if a culture doesn't have the education, I think maybe people take it for granted that if other people, the level of ignorance other humans are operating at, like if they don't know, they'll just. It's almost like you want to go in and help them. Like people would throw their garbage in the same river they would drink out of. You know what I mean? In Peru right now, I was down there.
Have you been to India, Ian?
No.
I've heard stories.
I've heard India. Who was it saying India's doing better than the U.S. right now? Were you saying
Someone
that?
that's got brain damage.
I've heard stories of India where the bathrooms are so disgusting in the public restrooms, people will just go outside. Like you walk inside and you're like, whoa, so you go outside and just go on the ground.
I heard that exact story this morning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then people will be like, well, New York City in the 1800s, like people would throw their trash out of windows, or same in London. I'm like, yeah, 200 years ago. So are you like admitting that your society is 200 years behind? Like that's a self-own when you say that.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.